Previously on C90 Adventures.
Can't believe I didn't have that on camera. I'm actually still shaking. Just tried to get my bike out of parking and they wouldn't let me or the bike out, even though on my ticket I'm paying for it. Bolivia doesn't really make much sense, but yeah, I don't know if it's Sunday or something, but he let me in and wouldn't let me leave. So after 30 minutes, he got out the baton because he was holding me prisoner. He went to go and get help, and in that time, I got a tyre lever, jammed open the door, popped the lock, and then got me and the bike out. So don't try and trap an engineer, but yeah, he had his, oh, you can hear it in my voice. He had his baton stick security thing to beat the fuck out of me. But luckily I got my big boots on, so I kicked a wall and took a load of the mortar off and showed him that if he came near me, he wouldn't have his teeth left. But yeah, that was pretty mental. I've given the money and the ticket to the hotel owner to give them in 1 hour, and I've hidden the bike around the corner. So yeah, I've got to go really, really fast, but cool. Right, speak later. Cheers.
Now, once I was out on the streets, the police pulled me over and I discovered what the hell was going on, and it was all very sensible. You see, I was in the city of La Paz, where one day a year all vehicles are banned from the streets. You can't even drive to work, and that's what the car park attendant was trying to tell me. Except rather than using words, mime, or even interpretive dance, he decided to lock me in the car park and swung a metal bar at me, even when I tried to leave on foot without my bike. Looking back on it though, the parking attendant actually did the right thing. He was just trying to protect me from having a polite conversation and photo opportunity with the police, and decided to protect me from the horror of that by trying to cave my head in with an iron bar. He's basically Jesus. Despite the cops not speaking any English, I now understood I had to stay in the city for the day, push my bike to a hotel, and enjoy the festivities. And I still don't know how the whole thing happened. I managed to understand the cops perfectly, and my Spanish is now coming along pretty well. For example, mi helado es bastante elaborado. My ice cream is rather elaborate. I enjoyed walking around and seeing things before returning to my room for the night, ready for a much better tomorrow. And better it was. I immediately jumped on the bike. I'd spent way too long in this city. And on the outskirts, I stopped at a bike shop to get a new bolt to hold my handlebars on for just $1 including fitting.
Yeah, es mucho facto. No es funciona.
No funciona.
No, so.
With my handlebars now fully attached to my motorcycle, all that was left to do was ride out of the city. After answering the obligatory questions about my spider, of course.
Araña es Canadá.
¿Así?
Sí, y el zapatas y sombrero es mexicano.
Así. Arañas canadienses, y zapatos.
And el llamo, his name, es Dave.
Igual de pitufina.
Yeah, I can't really explain the Smurf.
Why the bring the Smurf?
I don't know.
I filled up with fuel and was now finally ready to head off and hit the open road. Yeah, things hadn't exactly gone smoothly so far. But all I had to do was wait for this Dragon Ball Z bus to pass, and I was ready to explore Bolivia. And explore it we did. After leaving the city, the scenery opened up pretty quickly, and I was once again enjoying the open road. And for some reason this pile of building rubble, and some awesome winding roads. It was a bit windy to say the least, but my 135cc upgrade that I fitted in Colombia meant headwinds weren't a problem now. The same couldn't be said for side winds though. Most of the drops off the side of the roads here are fatal, and there are frequent gaps in the safety barriers, nearly getting blown off the edge in 3, 2, 1...
Fucking hell. There's the side winds. Okay.
So yeah, this was more like it. Stunning mountains, epic scenery, empty roads, and snacks. So yes, when doing these trips, there's going to be ups and downs, rough with the smooth, threats of violence and biscuits, and walls of rock at the ends of tunnels. That's just how it goes. It's about dealing with the difficult parts and moving on. As the saying goes, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Ah, speaking of which... So yes, it was time for another World's Most Dangerous Road, which I think is the third one on this trip. So, better follow the tried and tested method of taking things super seriously, being super safe, and getting super awesome professional footage by riding one-handed while holding a camera. And probably not dying.
Slips now, I die.
So in fairness, I'd say the term death road for here is actually pretty applicable. Sticky throttle cable when you're turning round so it drives you off the edge? Death. Foot slips as you're looking over the edge? Death. Tyres slide on some wet rocks? Death. And unfortunately there was evidence that I'm not exaggerating. So far this has all been a bit serious. Yeah. Well, kind of.
Yes. Oh, it's me, Aranya. Yeah. See. Oh. Cool. Adios. Adios.
Time to calm things down a bit, I think. Luckily my life didn't come to an end, but the death road did, along with the good weather, and apparently this tree. These guys were hacking away at it pretty fast though, so I knew I wouldn't have to wait long to get past. Although there was still too king long for this taxi apparently, who just absolutely had to overtake me and block the road, because it was really going to help him get through there before me because, oh yeah, I'm on a motorbike. With the death road done, I now had to ride back along the same road back to La Paz, which luckily had much more freedom this time. And also, since I'd been gone, they'd really upped their bus artwork game. Gone were the bears and Dragon Ball Z, it was now Highlander, Jesus with eyes facing in the correct direction, Predator, and mild head trauma Jesus, along with whatever monster this is. Eventually I made it through the city and dragged myself away from the buses, away from the mountains, and instead became rather intrigued with a 10-mile long line of rubbish dumped on the side of the road. I never learnt the reason for all the dumping, so that was that. And then, yeah, I just rode along the really long road for a long time. A really long time. And my GoPro got so bored that in the next 4 clips it didn't even bother to record any sound. So, yeah, there just wasn't really much else to report, really. I went through a pretty boring town and the weather was grey and it looked like it might rain, but that didn't really matter because pow, it was sunny. Things were a bit better for me now the sun was out as I motored along. Probably better than for this guy on a bicycle. Looks like a long old ride wherever he's off to. Well, I carried on motoring, watching the scenery pass me by, and another group of cyclists off to somewhere. I couldn't see where they were going, but apparently one thing I should look out for are walking ostriches. I mean, I didn't see any, so I just carried on. And then on this really long straight section of road, apparently I had to look out for stationary ostriches. I mean, I didn't see any of those either, so I just carried on riding. And I definitely wasn't starting to go insane. Being entertained by plastic bags blowing in the wind is perfectly normal. Ooh, but I did get to see some flamingos for the first time though, so that was pretty cool. But then they flew away, so it was now just a pond. Well, there we are. I've seen some flamingos for the first time, but they've all buggered off, so don't know if I'll see them again, but pretty cool. Alright. Onwards. So yes, onwards indeed. But first I had to consult my sat-nav to find a nearby village that apparently had petrol in it.
Okay, sat-nav.
If you say so.
Oh, good God.
Not supposed to be doing this one-handed. Yep, I didn't have enough fuel to go back, so I could only go forwards into the middle of nowhere to hopefully find some. This seemed like a perfectly sensible thing to do.
Left.
Not really sure where I'm going, to be honest. But, reminds me of Mongolia, this place. After about an hour of riding, I found civilization, and I began the search for petrol. While trying not to run over the children, of course. And eventually my searching was successful, and I bought 93.5 Fanta bottles of what I'm pretty sure wasn't vodka, and I filled both of her tanks to give us a full 250 miles of range.
¿Es verdad o es un muñeco nomás? Peluche.
I think you're asking me if it's real.
Once I answered the obligatory questions about Dave the Canadian safety spider, and reassembled my seat, yeah, 90's getting a bit tired now, poor thing. We searched around the village for the way out and headed off, back out into the middle of nowhere. The journey to nowhere began fairly straightforward. With civilization left behind and loads of fuel in 90, we had everything we needed for adventure. And I wasn't worried about running out of supplies for me either.
Road food. The best kind of food. Gonna reach it. Did it. Oh, it's split. I mean, it's fresh. Not worth it. Fraction. More road food. Yoink. Goes to be you.
So I, 90, and my orange carried on our journey. Just heading off to somewhere. That's the beauty of not having a fixed destination. You can't really get lost. Apparently. For the moment, we wound our way through the smooth dirt, keeping the hills fairly close to our right to help us navigate in a fairly straight line. Gradually, the loosely defined trails got harder and harder to follow, and the hard surface turned into some pudding, with 90's wheels piercing through the surface, but still pushing us forwards. However, my GPS now said it was time to increase the level of danger quite considerably by crossing the valley. First though, I appreciated this pocket of cool salt formations. It turns out I was in an almost dried out lake bed, and where the water has evaporated it's left cool patterns in the salt, or even large sheets of it buckling upwards. Anyway, where were we? Ah yes. Danger. Now, I'd like to think you know I don't exaggerate. If I say something's dangerous, then it is. I leave it to other people to over-dramatise things, pretend they're about to die, and get a good clickbait thumbnail out of it. So with that in mind, I was now heading across a 15-mile wide lake bed, winding my way, alone, through whatever was in my path. There were no trails to follow, I was just winging it. There's no phone service to call for help, no one knows I'm here, and if I crash and end up laying on the ground, no one might find me for months. So with that in mind, I'd like you to appreciate just how serious what happened next truly is.
Oh, Dave. He's lost one of his shoes. I have to try and find you a Bolivian shoe. Right, what are we going to do with you? I don't really have storage for Dave. Gotta work out where to put him. There's fuck all here, like, just absolutely nothing. But me and a broken spider. Can't believe you lost a boot, Dave. This is good. All the things I thought I might be fixing today, this was not one of them. Put glasses on because this glare is pretty severe. Right. See you in a second. Got Dave in the bag.
With catastrophe averted, it was now time for me, 90, and Dave to head off. And we were really hoping there wouldn't be any more problems, because things were about to get even more remote. And by remote, I mean so much so it felt like I wasn't even on this planet. You see, I was now on the edge of the Uyuni salt flat, the world's largest salt flat. In front of me there was absolutely nothing for 90 miles.
Such a weird place. Saved some chips from lunch and didn't eat them and didn't put salt on them because I can put salt on them from here. Now, what are you fucking out? Oh. Oh, so good. Fucking love chips. I've salted them with my camp spot. And I'm going to need the calories because tonight is going to be -10. And I've got summer camping gear.
I seasoned my last remaining chips by wiping them on the floor before putting up my tent and sleeping in my motorcycle gear inside my sleeping bag and getting a good night's sleep. And in the morning, this place was even more majestic.
This is very high altitude. This ain't easy.
Anyway, enough of that, time to be sensible. I packed up camp and headed off. Well, it depends on your definition of sensible, I guess. For some people, riding without all the gear all the time is dangerous and reckless. For people like me, however, doing 60 miles an hour naked on a motorcycle is dangerous, reckless, and something I've always wanted to do, and my life is now a little more complete for doing it. And what a place to do it. And talking of things being complete, you know what's a complete pain in the arse? Getting a puncture. Here. Naked.
Well, I've never done this before. Oh, damn, I'm good. Need to stop doing that.
The cactus needle removed from the tyre and a new tube fitted, ridiculousness resumed.
That's cold. Time to put some clothes on, I think. It is very cold. Covered in goosebumps. Right, well, that's off the bucket list.
Unfortunately, all naked things must come to an end, and it was time to stop, put some clothes on, and eat breakfast. Which, due to my ultralight and low-cost way of travelling, meant I had no fork. And while I was paying special attention to make sure I kept within budget and didn't run out of money, I wasn't too worried because I can always earn more. And I'm not going to say how, as it's a bit too rude, but on a totally unrelated note, I can suck an entire peach half into my mouth without even flinching. Well, according to my sat-nav, there was a tourist attraction out here, which I programmed a route for, and apparently I had to turn left in 2 miles, and then right in 1 mile, and then straight on for 10 miles. I decided to just straight line it instead. And I got closer, and closer, and after 12 miles I was at the tourist attraction. It was an island with cacti on it. With that done, I carried on. And that was a bit mean to this place. I was actually having an amazing time. I'd never been to a salt flat before, and I was loving it. It was a new type of terrain for both 90 and I, and she was conquering it pretty well, all things considered. I mean, she just keeps on going. She starts first kick, and I've always got faith that she'll get me to where I need to go. And I'm not saying I've just watched John Wick, but 90 is a bike of focus, commitment, and sheer will. And one day I will probably fix her with a pencil. And yeah, the clutch cover fell off in Colombia, so I just covered the oil leak that it created with silicone. And the opposite cover might have fallen off in Mexico, so I've just got to make sure my shoelaces are long enough to get fed into the chain, or the flywheel doesn't wear a hole in my boot. And the wiring is starting to look like a snake's wedding. But considering by this point we've covered 51 countries and over 120,000 miles together, I'd say we're both doing pretty well. Unfortunately, our time on this salt flat was coming to an end, and I was quite sad about it. All that remained was to join the car tracks to find an easy way back to terra firma, and thanks to the weight of the four-wheeled vehicles, get a look at the world below the crust, which was actually just salt water. Oh, and fun fact, this salt flat contains 70% of the world's lithium, so if you're driving an electric vehicle, it probably contains salt from here. A lot of people think it comes from here, but that's just a copper mine. So remember, not everything on the internet is true. Me and my 10-inch penis carried on our ride. The salt was slowly replaced by soil, and then eventually by steam engines, which was quite a sad thing to see as an engineer. These brown rusted relics from a bygone age were quite the contrast to the pure white I'd spent the last couple of days on. There's over 100 of them here. Once imported from England in the 1920s as the height of technology, they were left here because the mines in the mountains ran dry and there was no longer the requirement to move large amounts of materials to the seaports in Chile. So now, here they lie, as little more than something to entertain tourists. With the sun setting and the light fading, it was time for 90 and the sad engineer riding her to leave the train graveyard, head into town, and find a hotel for the night. Luckily, in the morning normal happiness resumed, and I left the town I'd stayed in, along with the salt flats behind it, and headed off up into the mountains. As I began my ride, I got a glimpse of the geology hidden underground that had led to the mining boom here in the early 1900s. After that, I got back on the right side of the road and increased my speed to enjoy what was actually a really good road. The surface was really grippy and smooth, the corners flowed excellently with perfect camber, all in all a very enjoyable ride, and the backdrop of the mountains really added something to it as well. I took a short break where I admired the wildlife, and don't worry, after reading the comments on the Peru video, I'm not going to be making any more puns about alpacas or the country I'm in. And I know you're all saying, I don't Bolivia. Moving on. As I made my way through this geologically wonderful area, I couldn't help but wonder what lay below the surface. And in the town of Potosi, I got to find out. You see, over the town lay the mountain of Cerro Rico, and in this mountain was a near endless labyrinth of mines. And due to a complete lack of health and safety regulation, for a small fee, I was allowed to look like an idiot and go inside. As we made our way down into the depths of the mountain, there were telltale signs of the valuable minerals hidden in these walls. And also signs that some of them had been found and were being taken back to the surface. This place was mental, and that lack of health and safety was really showing, for both our tour and the workers. We journeyed through the tunnels with our guide answering our questions, and moderately bothering the workers and showing us how they worked, before taking us to a quiet corner and explaining how things work here.
500 entrance to the mine. You have 15,000 miners in this mountain. You have three classes of the miners. Helpers or peon, second-hand manager and the manager. Don Pedro, he's the manager, he's the expert miner. He's working for 37 years. He's 60 years old. He's digging the hole, he's preparing the explosion, he's crushed the rock in a small piece. The helpers or peon, this is the man, this pushing the trolleys. It's impossible push 2 or 3. 4 people, 2 behind, 2 in the front, to carry minerals like that. Minimum 8, maybe 10, maybe 20 tons a week. The laboratory analyze how much percent the silver, how much is the zinc, how much approximate cost after you sell to the company. Maybe I sell in 7,000 Bolivianos. I need to pay 20% for tax for the government, 10% for cooperation, 15% I reserve to buy material, coca, dynamite, different tools for work. 20% I reserve for the pay to the helpers. The 7,000 Bolivians for me is 2,000. But it's not really, but I have my second-hand members. 1 for she, 1 for me. The position here is depend on quality and quantity. The miners not working for companies, working for self. This in Spanish is uncle, he's called Uncle George, Tío Jorge.
Eventually it came time for her to explain exactly who this dude is, and he is Uncle George, or the god of the mine. And the workers here believe he must be appeased to keep them safe. They do this by offering him cigarettes, coca leaves, and 100% pure alcohol. And I'd say he seems happy. Very happy. Well, it was now time for our tour to come to an end. We bought the favour of the miners we had disturbed with some gifts of coca leaves, sugary drinks, and 100% happy juice, before leaving them to continue scraping a living, sifting through the rocks. We started our journey upwards, until a cliché appeared at the end of the tunnel, and I was back outside again.
Daylight.
It was still really early in the day, so I swapped the mining gear for motorcycle gear and headed into town for some late breakfast orange juice. And I've got no idea why this guy was half peeling the oranges before crushing them and then throwing the rind away anyway. Unfortunately, my Spanish isn't good enough to ask him. Sorry. But it is good enough to buy the supplies for someone that is now holding quite the grudge against cacti for all the punctures I've had on this trip.
Hola. ¿Tiene una bolsa de coca? Oh, gracias. Y una botella de... no, con azúcar. Just la bebida para mina. Ok. Y 4 palos de dinamita.
¿Dinamitas?
¿Cuántos? 4 palos. ¿Sí? ¿Cuánto es para uno?
Completo cuesta 20.
20, ok, sí es bueno.
¿Los 4?
No
nomás.
Uno más, 5 total, por favor.
¿Solo dinamita?
No, con... sí, ya. Yeah. No, es bien, es todo. Total. ¿Qué? ¿Cuánto es? ¿Perdón?
110.
110. Exacto. ¿O posible una grande bolsa para...? Sí, perfecto. Gracias.
Okay.
Cool. Gracias. So, ladies and gentlemen, just to give you an update, I'm riding around the Bolivian city one-handed, carrying 5 sticks of dynamite and some fizzy pop in my left hand. This is a little nerve-wracking. Well, at least if I crash hard enough, it's not going to hurt. Are just to be distributed all over the city. Oh, let's look at how... sin dinero, but es gratis.
I donated the cover story for buying high explosives to this very grateful lady who was begging.
Toca? Okay, you're very welcome. I'm glad you like them. Adios.
Before deciding that riding around with sticks of dynamite in my left hand was incredibly dangerous and stupid, and I needed to do something much more sensible. With the dynamite now stored safely next to my genitals, 90 and I headed off into the countryside, because we had a score to settle.
This seems like a secluded enough spot. Test 1, stick of dynamite and 30-second fuse. For fuck's sake. Well, it's fucking light. Oh shit. Fucking hell, my heart is racing. This is a little terrifying. That was a big bang.
Test 2 was 2 sticks of dynamite in this prick.
Sorry, Mr. Cactus. I hope your friends don't miss you. Jesus Christ. Boom. I've got 3 more sticks left. I don't know if my heart can take this.
Test 3 was 1 stick of dynamite and 2 bags of ammonium nitrate. And now I'm on an NSA watch list. I then placed a large slab of rock on top of it to see if restricting the explosion changed anything. This test was inconclusive due to lack of data.
Where's the rock gone? The final test, 2 sticks of dynamite and 3 bags of ammonium nitrate. I don't think the cactus is going to be around for much longer. Hit by that. Oh, 490. Fuck that right up. Oh, I better pick you up, I guess. There's liquefied cactus. Oh no! Rear light lens. That's why my brake light doesn't work. No bulb. At least I can change it easily now. That was the original one as well. Well, it's safe to say the next time I go through a western border crossing, I'm going to set off the explosives detector. Kind of glad I'm out of dynamite, to be honest. little nerve-wracking. Clean the cactus off my bike and head to Argentina. Where'll you start? Come on. Probably flooded your bumper start, yeah. Fucking hell. Pretty heavy today, 90. Where's it altitude? Oh, this is downhill. Come on. And bump. Yeah. God bless the low compression engine and the ability it gives you to bump start off-road at 5 miles an hour on slick road paths.
With the universe now back in balance, 90 carried me, and a thin veneer of cactus, onwards for the last part of Bolivia. Supplies were pretty low again, so at the first sign of civilization, I got my faithful steed a drink.
Gracias.
And then got one for myself.
¿Cuánto es?
¿Qué lugar viene?
To Argentina. From Alaska to Argentina. Estados Unidos, Canada, Mexico. Todo.
And in case you're wondering, this is what it's like to hunt for food in South America.
You have to offer me boots, shipment of chili, biscuits. So I want the fruit today. Oranges. What's Spanish for banana? Tiene 3 ananas. ¿Sí? Perfecto. ¿Cuánto es? 2. 1.50. Gracias. Got bananas, got my water, got the motorcycle covered in blown up cactus. Let's roll.
Mission accomplished. With everyone refueled, we headed for the Argentinian border. And there's not much really to report about this, other than the ride was pleasant, the scenery was nice. I stayed the night in this mountain town with red dirt roads, and it was all just a very easy final day overall, to be honest.
So here I am at the Argentinian border, and apparently the strictest customs of the entire continent. So let's see what they make of my bike.
But there was nothing to worry about, because I'm just a British, tits. Making sure not to mention the Falkland Islands, I commenced customs.
Los bolsos,
See?
por el escáner, por favor.
Okay.
Todo.
Right. Please don't have an explosives detector. Please don't have an explosives detector. Made it. ¿A la moto?
Sí.
Sí.
Vení conmigo.
Come with you? Got my bits of paper, which doesn't make sense because you're not allowed into Argentina without insurance. And they don't sell insurance at the border, they sell insurance at the next town. Right. Escapo.
I drove uninsured to the next town, and then tried my best to become legal.
Well, I want to buy insurance, but they're closed between 1 and 4:30, aka when most people buy things. So I'm going to try and find some other places, otherwise I'll just have to hang around and do something while they decide to work. Come on, South America, you can do this.
So yeah, I wasn't too happy about the delay, which made sense because the opening hours were hardly hilarious. Eventually I got my paperwork sorted and I was now in Argentina, the final country of the trip. 90 and I had now conquered the northernmost, westernmost and easternmost points of North America, and we were now here with 3,000 miles to go until the southernmost part of South America. For the moment though, I had 1,200 miles to go to Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina, to get new tyres fitted. Some eagle-eyed viewers might be wondering why the tripod was moving. Well, actually it isn't, because I'd lost my tripod and I was now using a monopod with a pair of locking pliers on the end, wedged under a rock. Who says this isn't a professionally filmed adventure? Ah, giant finger! Initially the riding wasn't too bad, and in the beginning the occasional bit of Bolivian mountain range had spilled over the border, presenting vivid colours and shapes to contrast the endless blue skies. Along with those goddamn cacti. And I didn't have any dynamite left. And there's millions of them. For the next hundreds of miles, the riding wasn't the most exciting in the world, I must admit. The roads were fairly straight, the weather was dry but a bit cold, and another quirk of Argentina was it was really difficult to not be hungry.
Just can't actually eat any food in Argentina during daylight hours, basically. You've got to wait for it all to get dark, and then the shop's open. Weird way of doing it.
Eventually I did find some food, followed by an endless stream of very expensive hotel rooms. So I settled for a free spot in a public campground, pitched my tent and tarp, ready to get some sleep. Overall things here were kind of average, with the odd good thing here and there.
Who's gonna start wagging their tail? You are.
It's just so cold. I can see my breath. And it's not like nice cold like in Canada, where it's a challenge. This is just like normal, but just a bit colder. Bike holds it out alright though. Time for new tyres soon. So, I was now experiencing something that's a bit of a delicate subject to talk about. Being a bit bored while living the dream of riding a motorcycle around the world. But over the years I have been spoilt with incredible experiences, so I am sorry, but my threshold for what is exciting to me is artificially high sometimes. Still, could be worse.
¿Verás? Sí, bien. Bien o...
No, no.
Ah,
Stop.
stop.
Stop. No compression.
Ah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you're fucked then. Mucho problemo. Grande. Sorry buddy, I think you've holed a piston. I can't help. Are you going that way? ¿Qué distancia?
15 kilómetros. Now you already tried.
Ah, okay.
Now, I always stop to repair people's vehicles on the side of the road for them, but there was no repairing this, so I couldn't do anything. Except push him 15 kilometres back in the direction I'd just come from. Because that's a sensible idea, isn't it, Ed?
A la calle? A la carrera. Carrera. Poquito más. There we are.
Luckily I hadn't skipped leg day, so I was now pushing him 10 miles to get his bike fixed. And it was all going well. Until he randomly put his bike into gear, causing him to slow down suddenly and me to crash into him.
Whoa! Why did you do that? You fucking idiot. Did you just try and fucking... Oh dear God, this man's gonna kill us. ¿Por qué? It's not gonna work, you got no compression, you're just gonna kill me. Yeah, the gears? No.
fairly sure he now knew not to kill us, I pushed us up to 40 mile an hour, where we bumbled along, only briefly slowing down for me to give him a really hard shove so we could roll through this police checkpoint without it looking like we were doing something really dangerous. Which went really smoothly.
Okay, a la Carrera. Carrera, move, move. No, move. There we are, cool.
I can't really recommend trying to push somebody, change gear, and then re-engage pushing them at 40 mile an hour, but it does get the blood pumping.
Docking, yes.
Thankfully though, we eventually got to the town, and my international rescue was nearly complete.
Got a really shit episode of Thunderbirds. This week's episode, Thunderbird fucked and Thunderbird shitbox make their way to a Honda garage. Okay, adios.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias.
Well, that's my Good Samaritan job done for the day. Now I can get back to, oh god, another one.
Buenas. Are you okay? Do you need help? Reparation?
Luckily for this dude, I was travelling with 2 spare inner tubes, so I donated one to the cause and commenced repairs.
Well, fair's fair. I'll put it on, you can pump it up.
Tucumán.
Document, sí, yeah. Yeah, comida, document, and then Cordoba next.
Yo
You right?
enseño chico del monte. Enseño
Del Monte.
chicos.
You right?
1, 2, 3.
Oh, you're a teacher.
Teacher.
Ah, right. Ah, sí.
Pero
Teachera.
del monte.
Ah, the mountains.
Tú vas a tu país, a Inglaterra.
Ah, sí, yeah, yeah.
¿Vos tienes familia? Chiquito, esposa,
For me? Oh, no, not for me. Fuck the kids,
solo.
as Michael Jackson said. Sí, sí, solo.
Papá, mamá,
Sí, yeah, papá, mamá.
hermano.
Hermano. Is that a sister? Sí, una.
Casado no.
Nah, you got 2. You dos. Ah, dos chicas?
Sí. Diabetes.
Diabetes.
Le han cortado el pie acá.
Don't quite understand that. I think your kid chopped their foot off.
Sangre al azúcar. Tiene. En la sangre tiene azúcar.
Oh, no sugar. Diabetico?
Diabético.
Ah, sí. Right.
Le han,
Just diabetic with O on the end.
le han amputado el acá.
Oh, an amputation. Oh.
Hace 20 días.
20 days. Wow.
Sí.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Mission complete, which was a good thing, because this really isn't the sort of place you want to have a puncture.
Eduardo, tu nombre. Eduardo.
Edwin.
Ah, Eduardo el mío.
Ah, Eduardo Edwin. Ah, cool. Okay, adios. Oh no. Cheers.
Gracias.
Cool, that's okay.
Dios te bendiga.
Oh,
Dios te bendiga en el viaje.
God look after me while I travel, I think. Cool, gracias. Hope it's the gods of cheap hotels. Good, it starts. I didn't want to fix the engine as well. Bye, Eduardo. Mi eros plagos. To stop tinnitus. Oh. Tinnitoso? Diabetico. I need a haircut, this is stupid.
Okay, time to get moving and some miles done. Finally able to move at a decent pace, I headed for I now have a forbidden bike vagina.
I'm not really sure how that happened, to be honest, because I was keeping an eye on it, hoping it'd get to Buenos Aires. But it's just gone.
The plan now is to make a liner for the tyre out of the damaged tube and then put my remaining new tube inside that. But
Quick status report, my brand new spare tube has a hole in it, which I don't quite understand. And I don't have my puncture repair kit for some reason, that's disappeared. So I'm just going to have to put the tyre back together and ride with it flat and just limp along until I get to safety. Because that's all I got. Brilliant. Bit of a godsend. In the middle of nowhere, this guy has supplied me with a tyre. I've had to pay through the nose for it, but I think Argentina has very high import taxes, so I don't think it's him doing me over. I think it's his government. So, but yeah, I've got a new tyre and a new tube. Hopefully I can get somewhere useful before it gets dark.
¿Nos ven? ¿Nos ven? ¿Nos ven ahí? ¿Nos ven a nosotros? ¿Te miran ahí?
Yeah, it's a video. Time to reassemble the bike, hopefully get a drink as well because I'm so thirsty. And yeah, hit the road.
Listo. Buen viaje.
Gracias.
Well, today's progress had been slow due to rescuing 2 people and myself, and I was now in the middle of nowhere with the sun setting fast. But just after sunset I found a very cheap hotel, I went to my pitch black room and happily fell asleep almost immediately. However, in the morning...
When you're in South America, never ever check into a room when there's a power cut and you can't really inspect it, because although this place is very cheap, it is filled with mouse shit, which I was asleep in the bed last night, and it was only this morning when the power came on and I inspected that you will see it is everywhere. And I mean everywhere. There's a lot of mouse shit. So hopefully I haven't caught herpes or whatever it is that mice have. I'm going to hit the road because I don't exactly want to sleep anymore. And before sunrise, so should get some nice views. Buenos Aires tomorrow.
Once I stopped feeling too sick to ride, I jumped on 90, some friendly Argentinians tried to lift my spirits through a window, and I headed off. After a little while though, I just wasn't feeling the ride, so I tried to fix it.
You know, things got desperate when I've bought an ice cream. Pretty good ice cream, right?
Hoping that any minute now, the sugar would lift my spirits.
Not in the mood, dog. I will run you over.
Any minute now I'd start to feel better? I carried on, enjoying my ice cream and continuing to smash out the miles. And it wasn't actually that bad overall. Okay, the road was a bit straight and a bit dull, but the sky was the endless blue and oh you are fuck.
Second puncture before lunchtime, and I don't really understand what's going on. I had one yesterday. Every time they're just in weird places that have just, the tube has just gone. So, gotta fix another one. Alright, puncture repaired. Continue again. I've now only got patches, no spare tubes. So, hopefully I could get somewhere. Just don't any more punctures.
I was now nearing Buenos Aires. Once there, it was only 2,000 miles to go to get to the southern tip of Argentina. And it was on the outskirts of Buenos Aires that I experienced...
This is ridiculous.
I had now thoroughly had enough. I fixed the puncture, sent Mum a postcard, and drove to the airport, where I packed 90 in a box, and then I flew home to England. Now, the easy way out would be to say I ended the trip early because of punctures, but that would be doing you guys a disservice. I actually ended the trip at the correct time because I'd finally had enough of travelling. And this is going to be a difficult thing for me to say, but here goes. I told you a lie earlier on. I wasn't riding to the southern tip of Argentina anymore, I was riding home. For a while now, riding around the world just hadn't quite been hitting the spot anymore, and on that salt flat a few weeks ago, my desire to ride around the world finally died. Now I can't act, that is genuine happiness, but I hadn't been that happy in ages, and for days that really bothered me. Why was that salt flat so enjoyable? And then it hit me. I'd never ridden a salt flat before, and it was something new and exciting. Initially I thought I was bored of riding motorcycles around the world, but that's not true. I was actually just finally satisfied. I'd finally scratched that itch, and at least for my interests, I'd pretty much seen everything I wanted to see now. -30 to +45, snow, sand, mud, salt, desert, rainforest. Now it all felt like I was just seeing variations of stuff I'd already experienced, and nothing seemed to really wow me anymore. This was the reason I'd ridden the whole of Central America in 7 days. It was the reason I was doing 300-mile days in Peru. I tried speeding things up to excite myself. I even tried quite outlandish things, but nothing seemed new to me anymore, and it just wasn't hitting the spot, and I was done. And while we're on the subject, 6 months after returning to the UK, Rach and I would be done too. We tried to make it work. We lived together, apart, but whatever we did, it just didn't work. But we did try. We tried so hard. In Utah, when she slipped the disc in her back and we wanted to break up then, we tried. And you don't know this, but in Mexico we did actually break up. But then we tried again. We had an amazing time together, but the relationship just wasn't working. And it took a while, but eventually reality set in, and it was time to move on. So I'm sorry this doesn't have a fairy tale ending for you, but I owe you the truth, and I hope my openness helps someone. I do still have a desire for adventure. It's just now in 2-week bursts of things I've never experienced before, like my Moab KTM 500 video or my guided tours. And Rach and I are still good friends, but we know we'll never work outside of an adventure. So that was it, story over. But as I rode 90 to the airport, it felt awesome. For the first time ever, I wasn't sad that I'd run out of land or money. I was now looking forward to going home and the next chapter of my life. I was going to get a job. I was going to have money. I could have hobbies. I was going to have friends. Like I said, this isn't Hollywood. It's just me with a camera. Some people might be sad at this conclusion, but I'm not. It's been awesome. I'm ready to move forwards, and I regret nothing. So thank you for being a part of this adventure and this chapter of my life, but this is where the story ends. But first I want to say thank you, and I'm never going to do it justice, and I've lost count of the amount of times I've tried to record this and ended up crying, so here goes, one last time. Thank you for following me on my journey around the world and through my life. 11 years ago I first picked up a camera because I wanted to share how friendly the world truly is, and to give the people that need it a little shove to get out there and live life. Because of you sticking with me as I slowly and painfully perfected my art on the road and in my mattress forts, millions of people have seen how the world treats a friendly idiot. I've had hundreds of people personally message me saying I've inspired them to get out there and have fun, and I've even had terminally ill cancer patients thank me for allowing them to see the world through my camera lens as I speak to them like they're a friend. And that's what you are. Thank you. I don't know what my purpose on this planet is, but because of you, I've made this world a slightly happier place in my own bizarre way. I got to see so much of it, collect some amazing stories, and I even got to love. So from 90andMe for the last 11 years, cheers guys.
My name is Ed March and I have something to admit. I have an addiction to baskets. And I've got another one. I'm holding a live hand grenade. Oh, yeah! We've always wanted to know what happens if you lick the lamppost at -15. Oh! I'm actually stuck.
And that is that.
Gracias.
Goodbye, 90. Jesus, that was all a bit emotional. Ah well, nothing wrong with telling the truth, I guess. But what next? Stupidest ways to travel 1,000 miles across Utah. Ooh. Ooh. Hello everyone, this is only a quick outro because it's 2 in the morning and tomorrow, or technically today, I start the Jeep adventure and I'm already knackered, so I've got to go. But I just wanted to say a quick thank you for watching. I'm not going to say too much more because I hope the ending to Alaska to Argentina did a good enough job of saying what I wanted to say. But what I do want to announce is that I've actually got a new t-shirt design out. Now, I was supposed to have one to wear now, but because I've got very high standards with quality control, I'm still finalising the printing process, I don't actually have one. But because of the magic of computers, what I can do is this. As you can see, it features 90 broken in half with an idiot, probably me, proclaiming duct tape, which as we all know is the way to fix anything. On the back is Dave the Canadian safety spider, and on the front is Sammy the Iranian snail. And this was actually drawn by me, and it was then digitised by a very good friend of mine, Sean. So thank you, Sean, for making my drawing much less crap. And as with my other t-shirt design, it's 100% pre-stretched cotton, available in C90 red and C90 blue, and they are incredibly high quality, and you just can't kill them. For instance, I've had this one for 3 years, which is in the previous design, and yeah, and you know, I don't exactly look after stuff. So yes, if you'd like to go to the website to pick one up, that'd be awesome. Otherwise, there's my other t-shirt design, this one, or there's my feature film, which I've won 4 film festivals with. Yeah, or there's a PayPal donate button if you just want to say thank you or help future videos happen, or help cover the $3,000 that I'm going to spend on a mini Jeep tomorrow. So yeah, that's a sensible idea. But yeah, so I don't know, you only live once, I like doing stupid ideas, and yeah, thank you all for watching and for following me all these years. It's been awesome, but I get the impression it's about to get a bit more silly.